Pastor Jay, and I have the Honorable William Furry here.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
great to be here,
I
Pastor Jay.
know. This is behind the scenes. I haven't spoken to you in a while. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
Yeah.
Um,
I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and share.
well, the other day I guess a few weeks ago, I had Jill on or something. I think I did. I can't remember. And someone had mentioned, hey, will you allow a lot of people? Anybody is open to come on my show. They never reach out to me.
Hmm.
And now, I've had a couple people I didn't agree with on the show. No one really knew. I would say a few, and no one knew it because I don't want my show to be the I gotcha show
Hmm.
or anything like that.
Well,
But
I've watched your shows for years, and you've always been a very fair and balanced interviewer. You just want to inform the community
well, I appreciate that.
and glorify God at the same time.
Hey, I love that. Hey, I should have paid you to say that.
it was
I'm
This was not a paid promotion.
wait, I have that recorded, so I'm gonna have to take that portion out. That's not a bad idea. I wonder if I could do that. Hey, Mark, remember we used to have people that go, "Hey, this is so and so," and I listened to Today with Pastor Jay. I should do some of those things during
Yeah.
my show. I have to see because
Yeah.
you hot topic ticket item right now, so that'll be kind of cool. All right, well, we're gonna go in just a moment. Hey guys, if you are watching me, you can place questions in the chat, and I will do my best to try to see them. I don't know that I'll be able to get to them, but I would like to see or hear what our viewers have to say since William Furry is in the hot seat
And
today.
if we can't get to them on the air, I'm
Hmm.
willing to give you the answers that you can get back to those
Okay.
listeners
Well,
if
sound
need
like a
be.
plan to
Yeah,
me.
sure.
Okay, we'll do that. All right, Mark. Let's get into the show.
You are now tuned in to Today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio, where we discuss inspiring and informative news. And now here's your host, Pastor Geraldine Denny.
Good morning, rise and shine. It is a brand new day, and you're tuned in today with Pastor Jay on WNZF News Radio. I'm your host, Pastor Geraldine Denny, and every week we bring you conversations that strengthen faith, challenge the way we think, and help us navigate the issues affecting our families and our communities. So today we're talking about education, leadership, accountability, and results. My guest is Will Furry, Flagler County School Board member for District 2, and he is currently running for re-election with a direct message: promises made, promises kept. When Will first ran for school board in 2022, he made commitments to the people of Flagler County about academic achievement, school safety, parental rights, and leadership. Now, 4 years later, Flagler County has officially earned an A district rating for the first time since 2019. And so we have elementary, middle, and high school in the district have earned either an A or B. But today, I just want to talk about a campaign slogan. I want to talk about what happens when a candidate becomes an elected official, when promises meet policy, and when leadership is tested by real decisions and real responsibility. So, I should say, the Honorable Will Furry, welcome to Today with Pastor Jay.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's really an honor to be on your show.
Well, take us back to 2022. Before you were a school board member, you were a candidate asking the people of Flagler County to trust you with their vote. So look at your first campaign. Why did you decide to run for the Flagler County School Board?
Well, before I entered the arena of the election for school board, I was just a dad, a businessman, local businessman, and like many parents, we went through the COVID era, and that was not a very pleasant experience when it came to education. I wasn't really happy with the way the school was educating my kids, and then one day I tuned into a school board meeting, and I was even more disappointed with what I saw. So I went to my wife and I said, you know what? I think I need to run for the school board. There's some problems that need to be solved, and I think I can solve them.
So what did you believe needed to change in the school board at the time?
Well, from an outsider, I saw that we needed to increase our academic outcomes. The finances didn't appear to be in a good place, and the learning environment needed to improve. These are just some of what I saw on the outside. But once I got in to the office, once the electorate sent me in to solve these problems, I found out there were much deeper issues that we needed to fix.
You made some very specific promises to voters when you were elected. What were the major commitments that you made back in 2022?
Well, it started with number one, fiscal responsibility, making sure that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars, cutting wasteful spending, and spending them in a way that delivers high-level academic outcomes. Secondly, I said we needed to improve the environment for our teachers and our students, and that encompasses everything from culture and also safety and security. And the most important thing was to increase our academic outcomes, and my goal was to return Flagler Schools to an A district in my first term.
Wow. You know, there's a big difference between campaigning and governing. What surprised you the most once you actually took your seat on the school board? What were you surprised?
Well, there is no playbook for this. There's no manual. So you get elected and they say, okay, go in there and do the job. So you have to kind of learn very quickly. And the other thing I have taken away after nearly 4 years on the board is I really recognized in governance how leadership matters. This is not a ceremonial role. It's not a teaching position. It's a leadership position. And the direction of any board is really determined by who the people elect.
Were there moments during your first year when you thought, this is hard. This is not what I had expected?
Well, comparing it to a private sector, when you are the CEO of your own corporation, you can pretty much direct your business any way you want to. But on a board of any community, you have usually, in most cases, 4 other people that have to agree with you. And I think that's a good thing. No one should have unilateral power, but it is a learning curve on how to get your priorities done, because there are people that sometimes don't agree with your direction. But what's great is that you look back 4 years later, and those that may have had dissent on those there, I was proven that the direction I chose was right, because here we are, right? I have the receipts now. So I'm very proud of that, that I never gave up. I never caved to the pressure. I always did what was right. And here we are today in a school district.
Your reelection campaign is built around the message, promises made, promises kept. Now, that's a bold statement. Why are you confident saying that to voters?
Well, I'll give you a short list, okay? So first major decision was leadership change. I delivered top-down leadership change by non-renewing the current superintendent, who I felt was underperforming, and then appointing, along with my rest of my board members, the now superintendent, LaShaka Moore. That was the turning point for Flagler Schools. That was one of the most challenging decisions, because you're essentially changing the CEO of the corporation, right? So that could go good and it can go bad. But I vetted her, interviewed her, and I'm very pleased with what she's done since she's been in that role. Secondly, was fiscal responsibility. I dozed Flagler Schools before that was even a term. Cut wasteful spending, ended money-losing programs. That helped us to streamline our budget that was in really bad shape. The previous administration had spent the reserves down to about $3 million.
Wow.
Now, that sounds like a lot of money to most people, but when one payroll is $5 million and we're the largest employer in Flagler County, that is a scary place to be. And we were just about 1 percentage point away from the state coming and taking over our books. That would have been an embarrassment. So we avoided a state takeover trajectory by putting the focus on rebuilding those reserves back to $11 million.
That's pretty good.
And most importantly was the year-over-year academic outcomes. We placed the resources where they were needed most and brought those gains up. And because of that effort, it started back in 22. It takes time to turn around an aircraft carrier, but we got the ship turned around. And because of those efforts early on, we are now an A-rated district with strong academic numbers. This was not, there are ways that school districts can get A's by moving the numbers around. This was a solid A. I'm so proud of our students, parents, teachers, faculty, and our superintendent who made this happen.
Wow. I've got to take a break, but I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Real short answer I need from you. How should voters measure the success of a school board member? Is it speeches, votes, policies, or actual results?
I believe it's on the results.
Okay. All right. Don't go anywhere, guys. Don't shut that down. You are listening to Today with Pastor Jay. School's out, but not really, because we're here talking about Flagler County families. They have been waiting for something for years to hear that Flagler School is officially an A-rated district. And that's something that the Honorable Will Furry had mentioned before the break. So what changed, and really who gets the credit for this? So I'm speaking with Will Furry, Flagler County School Board member, who's running for re-election District 2, also the vice chair, I should say that, of Flagler County School Board. I mean, from years of struggle to an A-rated district. Now, I recall years ago, 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, fourth and fifth grade Black students at Bunnell Elementary School was segregated by the color of their skin. This was a hard, harsh time. In fact, I was on the radio crying about it. I did radio shows about it. Went to the school holding up signs about it. You guys can look it up. The news came out there. It was a whole big to-do. The newspaper came, but that's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to encourage the students. So I want to say thank you for that. And I say thank you because most people don't realize this. I called several community leaders, several elected officials during this time 4 years ago. And I said, hey, can you come and stand with me? And can you come and encourage these students? And you did just that. You got up and you went out and you held up signs and you high-fived and you spoke to every student going to Bunnell Elementary School and told them that they were smart, that the color of their skin did not matter, and that they were going to do it and they were going to make it. And I want to say thank you publicly for that, because the 4-year anniversary of that incident is coming up in August. And, you know, I'm planning on doing some initiatives here in the county, throughout the nation because of that. But you were there. But now we're an A-rated school. This is a major moment for Flagler County. For the first time since 2019, Flagler Schools has officially earned, as you say, an A district rating. But that's something to talk about. Well, when you received the news that Flagler Schools had officially became an A-rated district, what was your first reaction?
Woohoo! It was such a great thing. We had worked so hard, and we weren't focused on the letter. We were focused on making kids smarter, right? Helping them learn, giving our teachers the resources they needed to educate our children. And the A came because of the effort.
Right.
So that was what was so amazing about it, is that we just got it because we did what we were supposed to do, is become the premier educational institution in this area.
What do you think changed over the last 4 years where you guys could get to this A?
Well, I think I have to give a lot of credit to Superintendent Moore, because number one, she changed the business, the working culture within the district. She inspired people to do their best. I believe there are two types of leaders. There are positional and persuasive leaders. Positional, people only work as hard enough to not get fired. Those that are persuasive leaders, they bring the best out of people because they want to be part of something bigger than themselves.
You know, school boards don't teach in the classroom. You don't take the tests. So let's be clear about leadership and credit. What role does the board play in creating an environment where teachers, principals, staff, and students can succeed?
Well, directly, statutorily, we hire and fire and direct the superintendent, and we make the policy for the school. from a ceremonial position, we encourage, we visit schools, we pat our educators on the back when they're doing a great job and lift them up when they need a little help. But all of that is the responsibility of the superintendent to deliver the procedure of the school. And I served as the chairman of the board for more than half of my term, 2 years back to back.
Oh, wow.
So and the community may or may not know, but the chair and the superintendent set the agenda. So whoever's the chair is driving the direction of the school district.
Okay.
And when I say promises made, promises kept, the things that I mentioned to you happened while I was in leadership as chairman of the board.
Oh, wow. And that is so important. So how important was stable leadership at the superintendent level to the district's academic success?
Well, because it goes all the way down the line. Right. With our building leaders, our principals, right? With the expectations that the superintendent has of them and the type of staff that they hire, right? Meeting the expectations that is set by the district office and the outcomes as well.
I'm going to ask you a political question.
Sure.
You're running for re-election.
Yes.
How much of this A rating should voters consider when deciding whether to give you another 4 years?
Well, that's a very good question because it is an exciting achievement, but the A is basically just a testament to the effort, right? So I think it is something to consider because it is a great milestone. But I think what really counts is the fact that I promised them I was going to do something. Mm-hmm. I went in there. I did the hard work. I walked through fire sometimes in the media because there was opposition at times. I remembered the promises I made, and I never, ever, ever backed down. And you're going to ruffle a few feathers when you do that. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we were a meritocracy. And I'm asking you to reelect me or renew my contract, as I say, for another 4 years based on what I've accomplished and that I delivered everything I told you I was going to do.
And real quickly, before we take a break, who ultimately gets the credit for the A?
Our parents, students, and our amazing educators, faculty, staff, everybody. This does not happen with one person. It takes an entire organization focused on one common goal, and that is educating our kids at the highest level.
All right, guys, we got to take a break. Today's episode of Today with Pastor Jay is brought to you by Geraldine Ministries, Church on the Rock, and Judah One Aviation. So if you ever miss a broadcast, you can catch a show rewind on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And when we return, I want to talk to Will Furry. Take him back to one of the most emotional experiences of his time in education leadership, a walk through the building of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, where 17 people lost their lives. What he saw, what he learned, and how the experience changed the way he thinks about keeping our children safe. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. I'm doing good with the time. I know I'm a little whatever. How much time do I have? And don't tell me 3 to 4 because I did better.
6. You nailed it. You wanted 6.
I wanted 6. Okay, thank you. All right, guys. So I've been trying to time myself because it was really a portion that I wanted to get to. I mentioned that you can, if you write stuff in the chat, I can actually see it on my end. So I don't see anything in the chat. So there's no questions for you to answer. So we're going to go back to my questions, and I am ready when you are. Welcome back to Today with Pastor Jay. So, Will, before we close, I want to talk about something that I don't think enough people in Flagler County know about you. First of all, you go on tons of mission trips. You do that with your family. You did something with your son, which I think is great. But in October 2023, you traveled to Parkland and walked through the preserved 200 building at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Now, this was the building where on February 14th, 2018, 14 students and 3 staff members were murdered. The building had been preserved. The bullet holes were still there. Desks were overturned. The evidence of what happened that day remained. And you walked the path the shooter walked. Well, I want you to take us into that moment. What was it like when you first walked into that building?
This was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. in my life. But when they called for policymakers to go and tour this building, to learn from the mistakes that were there, I had the option to go or not go. And I said, I was elected to do the things that my constituents shouldn't have to do. So I went there. And when I walked in that day, I can honestly say there were a lot of emotions, sadness, chills. I really can't put it into one descriptive word. You're walking into a murder scene that had been preserved for all those years. I mean, you still saw a sandwich that was rotted on a plate, books on the ground right where they landed during the chaos. So you walked into it was a surreal moment.
What did you see that stayed with you?
Well, I'll tell you the moment that really stuck to me. We walked the path of the shooter all the way up to the 3rd floor. And they described, unfortunately, how these young children were murdered. And we learned a lot about school design and safety through that. And we have implemented some of the things that we've learned from Parkland right here in Flagler Schools to make sure those vulnerabilities aren't there. But the most impactful moment was toward the end of the tour. And the person who toured it was named Max Strachter. His son, Alex, was murdered that day. He was one of the first.
Wow.
And we walked into the room where Alex was murdered, and he was standing at the desk with the blood-stained floor of his son's blood. And he looked at us and asked us school board members, please protect our children. And I made a promise to him that I would.
Wow. You describe it as one of the most difficult decisions, and I would even say emotional experiences of your life. Why?
Well, because I have children. My kids go to school every day. We expect them all to go to school and then come home that evening. And for 14 parents, that didn't happen. And that we can't go back and change that day. But what we could do is make sure or try our best to make sure this never happens again.
That experience changed the way you approach school safety decisions on the board. I know it did, right? What are you looking forward to being able to do when it comes to school safety here in Flagler County Schools?
Well, what we have done is,
I know there's a lot of things
we've
you
done
can't
a lot.
talk
There's
about.
a lot of things we can't talk about, but we do have.
Because trust me, I tried to get some information about what y'all doing. Can't
Right.
get none.
But there are the things that we can talk about. We have single point of entry for our students. The campuses are locked. The gates are locked. Doors are locked. We implemented electronic access systems so we don't have a bunch of keys running around all over the place. And we also have a Syngentix alert system that if there's an active shooter, every employee has it around their neck. It's like a badge. They click it, the sheriff shows up immediately. Wow. Yeah. So we've taken, and many more that we can't talk about. Mm-hmm. But I did try, and this was part of my platform, to get the Guardian program here in Flagler Schools. Unfortunately, it did not pass the vote at the board at that time. This was early on. Mm-hmm. So I'm hopeful that, going forward, we may be able to implement this here. And I just want to point out the Guardian program was meant to be a force multiplier to our existing school resource deputies. I love our school resource deputies, and they do a great job.
They do a great job.
The way they connect with the students is amazing. But our campuses are big. They can't be everywhere at all times, and some of that played into the Parkland situation. So this is a way to supplement them, not replace them.
One of the hardest realities of school safety is that leaders sometimes have to prepare for things they pray will never happen. How do you carry that responsibility?
Well, it's a one you learn to live with, because we have to be right every single time. They have to be right once, right? So we always are preparing for the worst through training, through mitigation, and through some of the things that I told you, to harden our schools.
When parents send their children to school every morning, what do you want them to know about your commitment to bringing their children home safely?
That is always my number one priority, is that when we want to get your kids to school safely and have them have the best learning environment and return them home to you every night. That is one of our primary missions, is safety and security. And I will tell the parents out there that under my guard, I will do everything to protect your children.
You know, Will, after 4 years on the school board, an A-rated district, difficult votes, and experiences like Parkland, why do you want to do this for another 4 years?
Because I love this community. I love this organization. I love what we've accomplished in just a short period of time. It's quite remarkable that we had this many changes in less than 4 years.
And successful changes. We
Successful changes, right? One other thing is that we did here, and this will actually benefit this board for decades. We revamped every single policy, some that had not been looked at for 20 years.
Wow.
So now with our policies in place, we are a stronger organization.
Well, I want to thank you. 1 Corinthians 4:2 says, moreover, it is required in stewards that one be found faithful. And I think sometimes we make leadership more complicated than it needs to be. Leadership is stewardship. And when people give you their vote, they're trusting you with something. When parents send their children into our schools, they're trusting us with something precious, right? And when you make a promise, your character is revealed by what you do after the applause is over and the campaign signs come down. Promises are easy to make. Faithfulness is proven over time. So, Will Furry, I want to thank you for joining me today and for having a candid conversation about leadership, education, school safety, and the future of Flagler Schools. And to our listeners, I'll leave you with this. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't promised. But today is an opportunity to be faithful with whatever God has placed in your hands, whether it be your family, your community, your leadership, your assignment. Promises matter, but keeping them matters even more. Until next time, I am Pastor J, and this has been Today with Pastor J. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Guys, that was super cool. Anything you want to share? Because we're out of time.
Well, just remember that August 18th is Election Day, and remember, will is the way to keep Flagler Schools in A.
All right. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day.